today's launch was called the BLSA Connect, to link up black SMEs with the supply chain of large companies. Secondly, the CEO initiative is a program of business leadership South Africa. About 5 years ago, we went to the World Economic Forum, we came back, we created the CEO initiative, 5 streams. Out of those, there's the SA SME Fund, there is the Youth Employment Service, and then there is one that looks specifically at maintaining our rating agencies, amongst others. It is the genesis, the beginning of something really quite ambitious. We want to create 1 million jobs in 3 years. It's been a slow start, but I think we need to accept that we are dealing here with the legacy of 9 years of state capture that has cost this economy 1.5 trillion rands just in 4 years. On average, in the last 9 years, 100 billion per annum, when our size of the economy is 4.9 trillion. So at 1.5 trillion rands, it's actually 2/3 of what we collect a year from SARS. In fact, when you look at the 600 billion that has been stolen out of Eskom alone, and Eskom is only one of more than 700 state-owned enterprises and state-owned companies, it gives you a glimpse of the scale of the industrial looting that was happening. Lastly, had we continued on the positive GDP growth trajectory of Rolihlahla Nelson Mandela, where we almost doubled the size of the economy, and the 43 consecutive quarters of positive GDP growth of Thabo Mbeki, today would be talking about 16% unemployment, not 27.1%. Would be talking about a 6% positive GDP growth, not 0.7%. In fact, would have banked 1 trillion South African rands. Look at the possibilities that would have done. When one considers that energy is our 4th means of production, land being number 1, because of the 9 years of state capture, it's like having a car that must be serviced every 10,000 kilometers. The owner says, don't service it. Keep it running at all costs, but you run it 24/7. It gets a puncture, the owner says, no, don't repair the puncture, throw it in the bush. Now you have 2 blow-ups, that's 3 tires. What do? Now to look at the board of Eskom and the executives and start blaming the driver will be totally and absolutely inappropriate. So we went to the president, the former president, that's Fako Magatu Presidential Guest House, and said, fire the board of Eskom, fire all the executives that would be implicated in state capture. Pagamane Hadebe and the chairman, Dr. Jabulane Albert Mabuz, are doing an incredible piece of work under the most difficult of circumstances, where 9-10 years of state capture has totally dilapidated this entity. So today we cannot even begin to talk about the availability of skills at Eskom. We should be talking about what we have subjected this world-class, 4th biggest utility in the world that has built 3 coal-fired power stations, Medupi, Kusile, and Ingula, which is hydroelectric power. But adding 9.6 gigawatts of electricity, and yet Medupi should have been finished at 2014. It is still under construction. And if we're lucky, no more than 60% of the generation capacity that is available. So I think what we're dealing with here is really the legacy of state capture rather than the adequacy of the current skills. A small piece of work that we've done as business leaders in South Africa about what are the key challenges facing SMEs. Finance was number 5. Number 1 on that list was access to market. That's why we are launching BLSA Connect as an online trading platform, vetted, trained, and developed black SMEs so that they can have access to the supply chain of our own members. 86 CEOs, that 53 are responsible for more than half the GDP of this country when there are only 400 listed entities on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. So we are saying this is about preferential procurement, not just enterprise and supply development. Transformation is about ensuring that this economy from ownership to positions of leadership is broadly reflective of the demographics. Women are 51% of the population. Their representation in positions of leadership, less than 24%. Today, 2019, we still pay women 83% of what we pay men for work of equal value. And yet we know that when we put a smartphone in the hands of women, not only does the health of their own children, but nutrition and general well-being and schooling of the entire society and community improves. Therefore, we stand to benefit more as an economy, as a people with great natural endowment by investing more in women. Youth unemployment is north of 57%. It is the elements that were present during the Arab Spring, and we're lucky that we haven't seen any explosion of significance. That's why business needs to lead. First of all, thank you very much for raising 1.4 billion in just 2 months. Secondly, avail the value chain of your entities to these black SMEs. Thirdly, this is about preferential procurement, not just enterprise and supply development. Lastly, black business must graduate into big business. They cannot just be perpetual candidates for training that never graduate. If we want to be globally competitive, we must invest in SMEs because that's where up to 60% of new jobs are created. We expect Moody's to maintain South Africa's investment grade above where it is at the moment. The outlook was improving. I think they need to recognize our intent. They need to recognize the last chance we have in the presidency of Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa. Lastly, they need to understand that we are the only country in the world facing the elections that open ourselves up, once and all, through not one but 4 commissions of inquiry, including the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture. It's what we gave the world in the Truth and Reconciliation Commissions. We talk about our challenges honestly and openly. We talk about the need for affirmative action, for broad-based black economic empowerment and transformation, much more openly and honestly like anybody else in the country and in the world for that matter.